Welcome to Reddit family. Ever been promised something big by the people you love, only to be left behind? This story is from Reddit, about a man whose family swore they had a huge surprise for his 50th birthday. But when the day came, he found himself completely alone. It's a tale of betrayal, heartbreak, and self-discovery for anyone who's ever felt invisible. Stick around, because this one's a journey you won't forget. Let's call him Nathan. He's 50, a hard-working construction engineer from a small town in Pennsylvania. The kind of place where everyone knows your name, and the winters are long and gray. Nathan's been married to his wife, Sarah, for 25 years, and they have two kids. A daughter, Emily, who's 20 and in college, and a son, Lucas, who's 23 and just moved into his first apartment. Nathan's the kind of guy who's always been the rock of the family. Steady, reliable, the one who shows up no matter what. He grew up in a working-class home, watching his dad fix cars in the garage, learning early that you earn your place through hard work. When he married Sarah, he promised her a good life, and he spent decades keeping that promise, paying the mortgage on their modest house, funding Emily's college, even helping Lucas with a $4,000 down payment for his apartment last month, even though it meant Nathan couldn't replace his beat-up 10-year-old truck. 2 months ago, Nathan started noticing something strange. His 50th birthday was coming up, a big milestone, and Sarah began acting secretive. She'd whisper on the phone, close her laptop whenever Nathan walked into the room, and smile, in a way that made him think something was up. Emily started dropping hints, saying things like, "Dad, you're going to love what's coming for the big five now." Even Lucas, who usually kept to himself, seemed in on it, smirking and saying, "Just wait. Dad, it's gonna be good." Nathan's father-in-law, Richard, called out of the blue, something he only did when he needed a handyman, to ask what day Nathan was taking off for his birthday. Nathan told him he'd requested the day, a Tuesday, but he wasn't sure if he'd get it. All the secrecy got Nathan excited. He didn't expect anything extravagant. They weren't that kind of family. But he thought maybe they were planning a surprise party, or at least a special dinner. He'd spent years working long hours, sometimes missing school events, always feeling a little guilty for it. So the idea of his family coming together for him felt like a rare gift. The morning of Nathan's 50th birthday started rough. At 6 p.m., his boss called, asking him to come in for an emergency at the Riverside construction site. A water main break that needed someone on the ground. Nathan was always the guy they called, the one who never said no. He called Sarah from the car to let her know he'd be late, but would be home by dinner. She sounded distracted. Her voice clipped. "That works out fine," she said, and hung up quick. Nathan spent his birthday knee-deep in mud, fixing pipes and dealing with equipment failures. No one at work knew it was his birthday. He didn't mention it, because he's not that guy. He just kept thinking about whatever was waiting for him at home. On the way back, he stopped to buy a bottle of good whiskey, figuring he deserved at least that much. At 10, he pulled into his driveway. The house was dark, no extra cars outside. So much for the surprise party. He walked in, expecting sheer surprise, or at least see some decorations. Nothing. The house was empty. No wife, no kids, no note on the counter. He checked his phone. No messages. He called Sarah, straight to voicemail. Called Lucas, same thing. Texted Emily. No reply. Nathan was sitting alone at his kitchen table, staring at the unopened whiskey bottle, wondering if there'd been an accident. He called the local hospital. Nothing. Called Sarah's sister, Laura. No answer. At still alone on his 50th birthday, he poured a glass of whiskey and opened Instagram. Nathan didn't post much on social media, just followed his kids to keep up with their lives. And there it was, posted 3 hours earlier, a photo of his entire family. Sarah, Lucas, Emily, Richard, his wife Margaret, and Laura, all smiling on a white sand beach at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, cocktails in hand at a fancy resort. Lucas had captioned it, "Family vacation mode activated. He won't even notice we gone low." The comments were worse. Sarah replied with a laughing emoji, and so true. Laura added, "Workaholic husbands don't appreciate the finer things. Emily hadn't commented, but she was there, sunglasses on, looking like she was having the time of her life. Nathan scrolled through more photos. Group dinners, jet ski rentals, selfies by the pool. All time-stamped. Starting 2 days earlier, he sat there, the whiskey burning in his throat, feeling like the ground had dropped out from under him. For years, he'd felt guilty about working too much, missing school events, being tired on weekends, all to provide for this family. He'd put $500 a month into Emily's college fund since she was born, skipped replacing his truck to help Lucas with his apartment, never missed a mortgage payment. And this was what it amounted to. Forgotten, or worse, deliberately left behind on his 50th birthday. Nathan didn't call, didn't text, didn't comment on the photos. He just poured another whiskey and started thinking. Hard. He checked their joint bank account. $4,000 had been withdrawn last Friday. The exact amount he'd given Lucas for his apartment. Coincidence? He didn't think so. He scrolled back through Richard's social media. The man had been hinting at a special family trip for weeks. This wasn't spontaneous. It was planned. Planned without Nathan. Planned around his birthday. By midnight, Nathan had gone from hurt to furious to ice-cold calculation. He opened his laptop and started documenting everything. Screenshots of the posts, bank statements, a timeline of the lies they told him about his birthday surprise. Nathan was the quiet, reliable guy who always showed up. But he noticed things, remembered things. And when he'd had enough, he knew exactly where to start. Atusha. He found something else in Sarah's email. They shared passwords, or used to. A credit card statement for a card he didn't know existed. Sutut internal, student in debt over 3 years. Designer clothes, spa days, $200 lunches with Laura, and recent charges from the resort. Almost $6. One so far. Nathan felt the pressure behind his eyes. Not sad tears, angry ones. How could he be so invisible to the people he'd given everything for? For 3 days, Nathan watched their vacation unfold on social media. More beach photos. A video of Lucas doing karaoke with Richard. Captioned, "Dad would hate this LOL." Sarah's friends commented, asking how the resort was. Her reply, "Heaven. So nice to get away from real life for a while." Real life. That's what Nathan was to her. Something to escape. He didn't respond to their posts, didn't call, didn't text. Instead, he made decisions. On day 2, he called his bank and rerouted his paycheck to a new account. He called his buddy Cody, who'd gone through a divorce last year, and got his lawyer's number. He moved Sarah's things to the guest bedroom, not out of spite, but methodically, like clearing out a foundation with termites. You don't patch over it, you dig down. See how deep the damage goes. On day 3, the messages started. First, a casual text from Emily. "Hey Dad, how's it going?" Like they weren't all at a beach resort without him. Then Lucas, asking if he'd left his laptop charger at home. Nothing about Nathan's birthday. By evening, the tone shifted. Sarah texted, "Are you mad about something?" Emily called twice. Lucas wrote, "Mom's freaking out. Can you just text her back?" Nathan didn't answer. Instead, he posted his first Instagram photo in months. Just him at home with a grocery store birthday cake he'd bought himself. Date stamped. No caption. That's when the dam broke. At no. On day 3, Nathan's WhatsApp started blowing up. 47 messages by midnight across texts. WhatsApp, Instagram DMs, even emails. Sarah went from Norman, "Are you there?" to "Please, just answer me." "I'm freaking out." Lucas showed rare concern. "Dad, this isn't funny anymore." Emily sent tearful voice messages. "Daddy, please, are you okay?" Nathan sat on his back deck at 3, scrolling through their vacation photos while their desperate messages poured in. The contrast was stark. Sarah typing, "I'm worried," while her profile showed her grinning at a beachfront restaurant 2 hours earlier. Nathan didn't sleep that night, just made coffee at 5. And kept documenting. Screenshots, bank statements, text threads, all printed and organized in a folder. He bought new deadbolts for the doors, not to lock them out permanently, but to make a point. Some lessons about taking people for granted need to be carved in stone, not written in sand. On day 4, Sarah texted that their flight had landed. At Pote. Nathan heard their Uber pull into the driveway. He took his time answering the doorbell. There they were, Sarah, Lucas, Emily, Richard, Margaret, and Laura. Sunburned, exhausted, trying to fake casual smiles. Sarah clutched a gift bag that clearly wasn't packed in their original luggage. Lucas wouldn't meet his eyes. Emily looked on the verge of tears. Richard and Margaret stood back, disapproval on their faces. Sarah started talking. How worried they'd been, how they'd called the hospitals, how they'd cut the trip short. Then she pivoted. The trip was a pre-birthday celebration, and they were going to surprise Nathan with a special dinner. When they got back, Nathan didn't say a word. He pulled out his phone, opened Instagram, and showed them Lucas's post. He won't even notice we gone LOL. The silence was heavy. Sarah tried to grab his phone. He moved it away. Richard stepped forward, saying they needed to come inside and talk like adults. Nathan finally spoke, his voice calm but firm. Richard, you're not welcome in my house today. Drop the luggage and leave. Richard sputtered. No one ever told him no, but he left, Margaret trailing behind, muttering about talking tomorrow. Nathan let Sarah, Lucas, and Emily in. The house felt different, smaller, tense. Sarah noticed her things in the guest room and demanded to know what he'd done. That's when Nathan brought out his folder. Screenshots, bank statements, the expense breakdown. He laid it all on the kitchen table and asked one question. When did I become so worthless to this family? Sarah tried to turn it around, saying he was being dramatic, that it was just a vacation. Nathan showed her the text thread with Laura, where they laughed about him not noticing. Her face went white. Lucas downplayed his Instagram caption, calling it a joke. Nathan showed him a year's worth of comments. Little digs about Nathan being absent, boring, atypical dad. Lucas's excuses dried up. Emily cried, admitting the trip was planned for months, originally meant to include Nathan. But Richard convinced Sarah it could be a family reset without Nathan's negative energy. The ugly truth was out. They'd created a narrative about Nathan, the boring provider, the absent father, the workaholic, to justify treating him like he didn't matter. They'd convinced themselves he wouldn't care, wouldn't notice, wouldn't feel. And the worst part, they weren't entirely wrong. Nathan had let work become his identity, had missed events for overtime, had been quiet when he should have spoken up. But he was speaking up now. It's been a month since Nathan's 50th birthday, a month since he came home to an empty house and discovered how invisible he'd become. He gave Sarah 3 months to rebuild their marriage on new terms or prepare for divorce. She moved in with Laura, still spinning the story to friends, claiming the trip was a gift of alone time for Nathan. Lucas stopped talking to him for a while, but recently showed up, broke and humbled, asking for help with his budget. Nathan made him breakfast, taught him how to manage money, and now they meet every Sunday to cook and talk. Emily's caught in the middle, guilty for going on the trip, but still wanting a relationship with both parents. Nathan made it clear he'll always be her dad, and he's still paying her tuition directly to the school, not through the joint account. Richard tried to offer a settlement, but Nathan didn't respond. He's done with Richard's money and manipulation. Nathan's finding a strange new peace, being visible to himself for the first time in decades. He started swimming at the community center, joined a hiking group, even goes to happy hour with guys from work. Yesterday, he changed his social media status to "It's complicated." Because it is. Life is complicated. Families are complicated. Love and hurt and forgiveness are complicated. But one thing isn't. Nathan's not invisible anymore. Not to his kids, not to his friends, and most importantly, not to himself. Nathan's story shows what happens when the people you love make you feel invisible, and how you can find your way back to yourself. He was betrayed on a day that should have been a celebration, but he turned that pain into a new beginning. Sometimes, the hardest moments teach us the most about our own worth. What do you think? Should Nathan give his family another chance? Or is he better off building a new life? Have you ever felt invisible to the people you love? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. These stories connect us, showing us we're not alone in our struggles. If you enjoyed this tale, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you want more stories like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out. I'm here every day with new tales from Reddit and beyond, so stick around. See you next time.